I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, the White House says it cannot envision a situation where the Western Wall isn't part of Israel. The UN considers a resolution to revoke Trump's Jerusalem announcement. And we've got the scoop on Israel's amazing breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. Palestinians continue to violently protest President Trump's now infamous decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. 4 Palestinians have been killed in fresh clashes over the weekend, including a Palestinian terrorist who stabbed an Israeli guard while wearing what appeared to be a suicide belt. The Israeli guard is now in stable condition. Though the turnout was much smaller than last weekend, thousands of Palestinians erupted into violence throughout the West Bank and the Gaza border with Israel. The Israeli army says shots were fired at the main instigators of the mobs in an effort to de-escalate the situation, and among those killed is a Gaza man who had no legs, confining him to a wheelchair since 2008.
الأخ أبو ثريا شعب منتصر إن شاء الله.
With Vice President Mike Pence's trip to the region set for this week, President Mahmoud Abbas's Fatah party is urging the rioting to continue in protest of the VP's visit. Pence was originally scheduled to meet with Palestinian and Egyptian leaders to push Trump's forthcoming peace plan. But after Trump's controversial Jerusalem announcement, the Palestinians immediately canceled those talks, saying America's role as an impartial negotiator in the peace process has officially come to an end. Well, President Trump's deal for a peace plan between Israel and the Palestinians is still in the works, but a top official from the White House has just revealed one critical point we can expect to see. The White House says they, quote, cannot envision any situation under which the Western Wall would not be part of Israel. ILTV's Aaron Porce joins me in the studio now with more. Now, Aaron, what does this announcement mean for the peace process?
So, it could mean a few different things. On the one hand, you have for the Palestinians, for the Palestinian Authority, they think that this is a major blow, that they're losing more and more ground going into negotiations, especially because the Kotel, or the Western Wall, is located technically in East Jerusalem. On the other hand, you have the Israeli side who says, you know, Jerusalem was always non-negotiable, first of all, and the Palestinians haven't come to the negotiating table in years anyhow, so it changes nothing. And then you have yet another kind of perspective from the Palestinian side, saying the United States is no longer a peace partner anyway after this recent move, after Trump's recent decision in Jerusalem. So it changes nothing on their perspective either. Right. But it's very complicated, but I'll talk a little bit more about it right now in my report.
The official has clarified that final sovereignty and boundaries will of course be up to Israel and the Palestinians to decide for themselves. There isn't even a peace plan on the table yet, but these words, much like President Trump's bombshell recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, has pushed the Palestinians far from the table. President Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority has rejected these comments claiming the Western Wall for Israel. That's because the Kotel, along with the rest of the Old City and the Temple Mount, is in East Jerusalem, where the Palestinians hope to have their capital for a future state. The Western Wall, also known as the Kotel, is the second holiest site in Judaism, second to Har HaBayit, or the Temple Mount. But Palestinians argue that East Jerusalem, which Israel liberated in the 1967 war, is disputed, occupied territory. But as this White House official points out, no matter what the Palestinians claim, quote, we cannot imagine Israel would sign a peace agreement that didn't include the Western Wall, end quote.
Well, the United Nations is considering a new resolution on Jerusalem, one which would officially rescind President Trump's controversial decision to recognize the city as the capital of Israel. Now, Egypt has already submitted a draft to the Council, and an emergency vote could happen as early as next week. Such a vote would likely gather huge support in the United Nations. That's because the vast majority of countries and their leaders have publicly denounced Trump's now infamous speech and his promise to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Palestinian communities and advocates in Indonesia, Algeria, and Brazil have just held fresh rallies against the decision.
Nenhum país do mundo apoiou a decisão do Trump. Então nós, o povo brasileiro, estamos reafirmando que Jerusalém é a capital da Palestina.
Amidst the unrest, 2 Danish nationals have just been stabbed in the African country of Gabon. Their attacker is a Nigerian national who says he carried out the attack in retaliation for U.S. attacks against Muslims and America's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Though the recognition has received praise from Israeli leaders, European nations are nearly unanimous in their condemnation. Protests in Germany took an especially dark turn last week when anti-Semitic symbols, slogans, and chants surfaced at rallies. The German government says that although it disagrees with Trump's decision, it doesn't excuse anti-Semitism.
Dass die einseitige Anerkennung Jerusalems als Hauptstadt einen Beitrag zum friedlicheren Nahen Osten leistet, daran kann man mit guten Gründen zweifeln. Die Position Deutschlands dazu ist bekannt und ich denke, meine auch. Aber das rechtfertigt keinen Hass gegen Israel und keine Herabwürdigung unserer jüdischen Bürgerinnen und Bürger auf Deutschlands Straßen und Plätzen.
If such a resolution does come down to a UN vote, the United States would almost certainly exercise its veto and cancel the vote altogether. But clearly this is an issue that isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Just over a decade ago, an Israeli woman set off on a mission to create the longest piece of artwork on the planet, all in the name of Israeli-Palestinian peace. Well, joining us now is that very artist, Rachel Witzman, to tell us about this groundbreaking project. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So why did you choose to take on this mission, which you called Breaking Borders, correct?
Yes. I chose to do this project because of the war between Arab and Israel, and especially before my father killed by terrorists in 1994. And I thought the best way to do something is through my art, and to explain them and our side that the art maybe make a peace, or maybe people understand something. So I go to Arab people from Egypt, from Jordan, and from Israel, from Sachin, and I make it in a lot, 3,860 meters.
Right. This is extremely long piece of artwork, and you use lots of different materials, right?
No, it's only canvas, really canvas.
Really? Okay.
Yes, canvas, and it's wide 1.20 meters and long 4,000 meters, and 900 liters of paint.
So this is a huge undertaking that you decided to do, and obviously this is in the name of your father, Naftali Sahar, who was very tragically murdered by Palestinian terrorists in 1994. But you've since taken your artwork to a very different place, right? That was one of your first main projects, and now you have a new project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My new project is to document women and glorify them and empower them all over the world. And I travel all over the world almost, especially in the black country. And you see the picture, I glorify them, I photo, then I work in Photoshop and coral paint, then I print them by hand, then I color them with oil color. And now my work belongs to Lumas Gallery all over the world. 41 countries present me.
Wow, interesting.
With all this
and so you're focusing on the faces of women and bringing power to women around the world.
When I saw them, the knots look like how they look here.
Yeah.
I make them beautiful with the flowers, with the makeup, with the jewelry.
Yeah. Wow, it's interesting that this is the next medium that you have you know, just to
it's
focus
mixed
on.
Media.
It's mixed media. And it's very, it's beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about the work that you're doing. It's very unique. It stands out.
Thank
I
you.
think, obviously, the first mission that you undertook with Breaking Borders was something that was very noble. I think a lot of big leaders, you know, the former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon even helped create that.
Yes, he first. He did first.
Right, exactly.
First, yes.
All right, well, thank you again so much for joining us, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
All right, Israel's Teva pharmaceutical company is the largest drug manufacturer on the planet, with at least 55,000 employees all over the world. Now, the company has been in massive debt lately, and now to offset that loss, Teva has announced that it will cut a whopping 25% of its workforce, which means 14,000 people will all lose their jobs. News of the massive layoffs sent Teva stocks skyrocketing, but for the actual employees whose lives will be forever impacted, it's a devastating reality. At least 1,700 Israeli employees will be fired as part of this reshaping. That's why labor unions all over the country have staged a massive workers' strike to show solidarity for the Teva employees. Picketers lit tire fires outside of the Teva offices in Ashdod, blocked the highway into Jerusalem, and brought the public sector to a standstill today. Government offices, banks, schools, clinics, even Ben Gurion Airport all remained closed into the afternoon, joining the labor strike. Now, employees in Teva's Jerusalem branch have even barricaded themselves inside the factory in protest. The Israeli Prime Minister is now saying that he's going to try to work with Teva to keep damage to Israeli workers minimal.
השבוע אני אפגש יחד עם שר האוצר ושר הכלכלה עם מנכ"ל טבע. אני קיימתי איתו שיחה בשבוע שעבר, ואמרתי לו שהיעד הראשון שלנו הוא קודם כל למזער את הפגיעה בעובדים. זה דבר ראשון. דבר השני הוא כמובן לעשות ככל שניתן, למנוע סגירה של מפעל או מפעלים בירושלים. והדבר השלישי הוא להבטיח שטבע תישאר במדינת ישראל, יש בה אלפי עובדים, ואנחנו קמה כחברה ישראלית, אנחנו רוצים שהיא תישאר כחברה ישראלית.
With thousands of jobs on the cutting block from now until 2019, these wounds are likely to be reopened again and again in the years to come. Well, the Israeli and Iraqi contestants in this year's Miss Universe pageant made headlines last month after they shared a joint selfie that they hoped would spread peace and love between the two enemy countries. Unfortunately, not everyone took to that message. Miss Israel has just confirmed that Miss Iraq's family has been forced to flee Iraq after receiving death threats over the pic. Israeli beauty queen Adele Gendelsman posted this picture to social media a few weeks ago, along with the Iraqi contestant Sarah Idan. Sarah's caption reads, "Peace and love for Miss Iraq and Miss Israel." That's a message that immediately went viral, drawing praise as an incredible symbol of hope and peace in the Middle East. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case in parts of Sarah's home country, Iraq. By posing with an Israeli while wearing a bikini, no less, Sarah quickly received threats to take down the picture or else she'd be killed. And now her entire family has had to flee Iraq for their lives until the situation calms down. Miss Israel and Miss Iraq are still in touch, and neither of them regrets posting the picture. In fact, Miss Iraq says that she hopes one day there will be such a strong peace between Jews and Muslims that neither side will need to send their children to the army ever again. Shopping is fun, but wouldn't it be even more enjoyable if you knew that your purchases were having a positive social impact? Well, joining us now is Yuval Arbel, the founder and CEO of BuyForGood.biz, a company that helps you support Israeli businesses for a good cause. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about this platform.
Okay, it's an online platform like Amazon or Etsy, hopefully one day. But everything you can find on the platform is made by people with disabilities from underserved communities in Israeli vocational centers and non-profit organizations.
And all of the products come from Israeli businesses specifically, correct?
Yeah, from Israeli non-profits and vocational centers,
Okay,
yes.
Very cool. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, a few years ago, I heard about this model that combines doing good and also business, social business, and I started to Google and search the whole field. And I found out that a lot of non-profit organizations have a vocational center where they produce a lot of items, but they don't know how to sell them. They struggle because of different reasons. And then I thought if we can combine all of them to one website, one platform, we can sell more and reach new audiences, and that's what we do.
Absolutely, and I think one of the benefits of this site is that it's also allowing a very specific audience who's looking to support the state of Israel as well,
Exactly.
To kind of find the gifts that they're looking for and the products online. Are you able to ship abroad as well, or?
Of course, of course. Most of our orders and customers are abroad, mainly in North America, but also in Europe and in France, and we are shipping globally. We had orders from Canada, from the US, from the UK.
What are some of the orders that are coming in?
Well, now for Christmas, there was a huge order, a lot of interest in the earrings and jewelry and natural soaps. And we have a challah cover made by Ethiopian women with Ethiopian motifs, which is very popular. So a lot of different products.
Very cool. Is there something in specific on the site that you like the most, or that you would recommend people checking out?
Well, I think the Ethiopian handcrafts are very beautiful. Yeah. Also the natural soaps and everything. You know, each product has a story behind it, has a people that it brings very positive impact on their lives. Absolutely.
Well, and Israel is such a diverse country that I'm assuming that there's so many different types of art pieces.
Exactly. I mean, there are organizations helping Ethiopian women. There are organizations helping at-risk youth. There are organizations helping people with mental disabilities, cognitive disabilities. So it's a very wide spectrum, and they all making beautiful products.
All right, well, check this out, my friends, if you're looking for a good gift for the holidays, right? Because it is holiday season.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in, Yuval.
Thank you.
All right, from Jerusalem to the Dead Sea to the beaches of Tel Aviv, Israel boasts some of the best sites in the world for tourists. But let's be real, traveling here ain't always cheap. Despite this being a record year for tourism, studies show that the high costs of hotels may be cutting in big time to Israel's tourism industry. That's not to say the hotels here aren't nice, of course. Actually, you could find high luxury hotels in most major cities here, just like the ones you'd find in Europe or in the United States. Here's the difference, though. A night at the Ritz-Carlton in Barcelona will cost you about $265. In Herzliya, well, you're looking at $490. Ouch. This year, 3 million tourists came to Israel, a record high for the country. But according to Israel's Minister of Tourism, the country could be pulling in 4 or even 5 million a year if the rates are better. Now, a few factors play into the high costs. Hotels have to pay overtime to employees every Shabbat, and most chains pay a huge percentage to keep their kosher licenses renewed every year. The rates have driven some visitors to more creative travel solutions, though, like Airbnb, which saw a whopping 25% increase this year compared to last year. Now, without Airbnb, those travelers might not have stayed so long, or maybe they wouldn't have even come at all. Well, agriculture, medicine, high-tech, Israel has already made a name for itself in all of these industries, but now 7 Israeli companies have just cracked the AI 100. These are the top 100 companies in the world that specialize in artificial intelligence breakthroughs. And yes, it's as cool as it sounds. Chosen from over 1,000 companies, these 7 Israeli firms represent some of the craziest innovations in AI. Israel's Apply Tools company has made the list. They create automated verifications for your apps. Then there's also CyberReason, Dynamic Yield, and Worky. But one of the coolest companies is called Orcam, which makes a vision device for blind and visually impaired people called Orcam My Eye. You just clip the device to your glasses, point to what you want to read or see, and an AI system linked with a camera tells you what it is and even remembers it for next time. Another company called Twiggle helps internet search engines predict what you're actually searching for, and Prospera uses artificial intelligence to help streamline farming. So don't worry, no killer robots this time, just good old-fashioned Israeli innovations making the world a better place. It's holiday season, and no matter what you're celebrating, you're probably facing the same issue: what gifts to buy for your loved ones. Well, joining us with the scoop on the latest trends for kids is marketing consultant Sharon Matzliach. Thank you for coming in. I see you already have a lot of toys here for us.
We have a lot today. I had to choose the best ones, actually.
Well, this is good because we're going to be talking to you about trends. What are the trends this holiday season when it comes to gifts for children?
So first of all, we have the latest trend in dreidels. It's not made especially for Hanukkah, but it's just now in stores. It costs...
Well, I don't think you have to be Jewish to appreciate a dreidel. All kids love this.
Well, it's very, very spinny, as you can see. It spins for a few minutes, actually. And it's very simple.
I wish we could keep this going the whole time.
Yeah,
but I want to make sure we can actually hear you, right?
So it's really cool.
Yeah.
It spins for a few minutes, and it's good for all kinds of kids, younger or older.
Okay.
It comes in all kinds of colors, and it's a very, very affordable gift. It's only 30 shekels. You can find it all over.
Okay, so 30 shekels is about $8, something like that, yeah.
Okay. It's from Fox Mind.
Okay, great.
And here we have the latest Magformers robot. Magformers is a well-known brand that's sold all over the world, especially in North America.
But it's from here in Israel.
Here in Israel,
Yeah.
Fox Mind sells it as well.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
And it's a very valuable gift because it costs 269 shekels, but you can use it and assemble it with smaller pieces of Magformers. So you can buy a smaller set and add this to it.
Interesting. So this is like the latest artificial intelligence for the younger generation,
So
right?
the kids, they can assemble the robot, and once they finish assembling it, they need to charge it, and then he just walks,
around,
as you can see in the video.
I think this is every kid's dream to have something like this,
Yeah,
little
it's
robot.
really, really, really cool. And for kids that love Magformers, it's the best gift, actually.
Very cool.
I would ask
we have some other
the grandmother
games here too,
to
right?
get it this time. Now,
You're
we
gonna
have
ask your
here
grandmother.
2 board games, which is one is good for younger kids because it has all the animals that we like. It's called Flipolo, because if you don't find the animal that you want, you just flip it. So this is the board that you get. Each player gets it, and they get the colors, and you need to match the animal to the board. And if you don't find the animal, you just flip it. The first one that puts together all the pieces
wins.
is
Well,
the
we all
winner.
know this game. This is the newest take on it. All right.
And
Well, we're
the last one.
Okay.
The last one I'm going to show you is the one that I play with my grandmother and my son.
Okay.
It's called Match Madness. It's the greatest game ever, actually, because it gets you. Just a second. When you get the card, you get this image or another image. It's different colors by the how tough it is, and you need to play with the parts and get it, and it's really, really tough.
This is not easy, which makes it good for the whole entire family. So we have a bunch of options here, and they're all a different range of prices, which is good for our audience. For those of you who are still trying to find something to buy your child, your grandchild, your friend's child, here are some great options. Shalom, thank you so much for coming in and telling us about these toys. And now I know what I'm going to be buying my cousin. The upcoming royal British wedding has already been sending shockwaves across the United Kingdom because Prince Harry's pick to the throne doesn't happen to be royal at all. That means that his fiancée Meghan Markle is really going to have to stun on their big day, and it looks like an Israeli designer may be helping her to do just that. ILTV's Emmanuel Kadosh has the details.
Hi, Natasha. Yes, well, like you said, I mean, it's a classic dream come true, thinking that Meghan Markle, who actually happens to be one of my favorite actresses, is going from Hollywood fame to actual royalty overnight. The exciting part about all of this, other than the obvious wedding and happy ever after, is that there have been reports buzzing around saying she may be wearing a dress designed by Israeli wedding dress designer Inbal Dror. Now, not to understate how huge this whole situation is, but this actually isn't the first huge celeb Dror has designed. She's dressed a different queen once before, Queen Bee, or Beyonce, for those who don't know.
Well, Meghan Markle may not be actually becoming a queen.
Right.
She's becoming a princess of sorts. But if she's using the same designer as Beyonce, then I guess you can say that she will be one, right?
Exactly.
I think it's safe to say that the Israeli designer Inbal Dror is also living out her dream on this one. But she's not the only Israeli designer that's dressed famous celebrities, right? I mean, I think we spoke a few weeks ago about Serena Williams.
Right, that's right, Natasha. The Israeli wedding dress game is extremely strong these last 2 years. People are taking note of our talented and brilliant designers worldwide, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Serena Williams dressed her whole bridal party in Galia La'av gowns, custom-made. Alon Livne is also a well-known Israeli designer. He's dressed Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, Lady Gaga, and Queen Bee herself also. So this would be a huge step up for Israeli designers all over the country if Inbal Dror would dress the soon-to-be princess, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see who she'll choose.
I guess so. All right, thanks for joining us, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Now for our Hebrew word of the day. They say if you think positive, you'll feel positive. So today's word is chiyuvi, which means positive in Hebrew. Now, When you're feeling down, just focus on the chiyuvi, and while you're at it, make sure you also make chiyuvi decisions. Make purchases that have a chiyuvi impact and give your friends chiyuvi compliments so that they feel more chiyuvi about themselves. After all, if you're chiyuvi, how can you have a bad day? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 58 or 14 degrees Celsius. And tomorrow you can expect the skies to be a bit cloudier, but with a rise in temperatures to a high of about 74 or 23 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.51 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.